the events that led to the car being cancelled, and any flaws that it might have had. The Patriot was around for a while, with 11 model years from 2007 to 2017. So we begin back in 2005. The Jeep Patriot concept was first shown off at the 2005 Frankfurt Motor Show in Germany, and then the next year it would debut at the 2006 New York Auto Show alongside the Jeep Compass as a production model. Both the Compass and Patriot would share the GS platform with the Dodge Caliber, but you'd never really know just looking at it due to the exterior styling changes. And the Jeep Patriot is a front-engine, 5-door compact crossover SUV. For the first model year in 2007, Jeep offered the Patriot in 2 trim levels, Sport and Limited, both available with either front-wheel drive or 4x4 capability. The very first Sport started at just $14,550, which if we account for inflation is still a great deal at $18,240 in today's USD. The 4x4 Limited was still inexpensive at $21,555. There were various other models added here and there, like the Latitude for 2014, and special edition trims as well, which we will go over later on in the video. By 2017, the Patriot was down to just Sport and Limited again, with the most expensive version going for $25,840. The Patriot was also available in other markets like Europe and Australia, and Europe got trim levels such as Sport, Sport Plus, Limited, and Overland. If we take a look at the design of the Patriot, it is unmistakably a Jeep from every angle. The front and rear bumpers are very defined and not molded into the fascia, silver on the Limited and body color on the Sport. The windshield and rear door are very upright, and when compared with the Compass, the Patriot is more rugged looking and doesn't have the more rounded edges like its platform mate. To me, it almost looks like the Liberty or a Mini Commander. In 2011, there were some minor interior and exterior changes. The front and rear end were updated, with the fog lights shrunken and relocated, and the Patriot lettering on the rear bumper was simply removed. The rear bumper was also deeper, with the purpose to totally hide the muffler and other mechanical parts. The 2011 and up Patriot also rides higher than before, and has half an inch more of ground clearance, up to 9 inches. 16-inch steel wheels were standard, but the 17-inch aluminum wheels offered made the Patriot look much better. Not much else changed for the rest of the years though, and by the last year in 2017, this model looked quite dated compared to newer models like the Renegade. Moving inside, the first thing to notice is that the seating position is high, 2 inches higher than the Caliber. The standard front seats are nothing special, they have manual adjustment and are made from vinyl tech fabric, and yes, Essentials fabric is optional. The colors are boring, pebble beige and slate gray. The Limited does offer leather. The center console and dashboard have a very simple design, with some brushed aluminum accent pieces, and the gauges have a white on black look. The rear seats are a 60-40 split that can fold flat, and reclining rear seats are optional. If you do have the back seats folded flat, there is 54.2 cubic feet of cargo room, and if you use the seats, that goes down to 23 cubic feet, both solid for a compact SUV. It also has 39.4 inches of legroom, the same as a Compass, and a few more than the Liberty. The Patriot interior was revamped a few times, like in 2009 with a new dashboard and instrument panel, and in 2011 with a different steering wheel and soft touch materials on the armrests, top of the doors, and more. Now let's take a look at performance. For North America, Chrysler offered 2 engines. There is the 2.4-liter World engine with 172 horsepower and 165 pound-feet of torque, with fuel economy ratings of 23 city and 29 highway. For just $200 to $500 less, depending on the year, so if you did get this engine you get a credit, there was also a 2-liter with 158 horsepower, 141 pound-feet of torque, and a very similar 23/29 mpg rating. As for the transmissions, there was a 5-speed manual or a continuously variable transmission, and that does have auto stick so you can manually shift the CVT if you'd like. 2014 was the first model year that the 4x4 Patriots came with the Hyundai 6-speed automatic transmission instead of the CVT. The CVT was a very interesting experience, and I will talk a lot more about that in the flaws and why it got cancelled part of the video, but basically the Patriot could go 0 to 90 miles per hour without shifting, and the SUV will rev to 6,000 RPM and just stay there while the speedometer needle climbs. That means the acceleration will feel much stronger with the manual. Obviously, the Patriot is not meant for speed, so 0 to 60 happens in 10 seconds with the 2-liter and 8.7 seconds with the World engine. Also for Europe and Australia, they got a 2-liter Volkswagen manufactured diesel engine with 140 horsepower from 2007 to 2010, and that was paired with a 6-speed manual transmission. After that, they got a more powerful 163 horsepower, 2.2-liter turbo diesel made by Mercedes. The Patriot had a good independent suspension, and the body was well isolated from the wheels. As for the four-wheel drive system, the basic one is called Freedom Drive 1, which is a full-time system that is front-wheel drive when there is traction, but can automatically put up to 50% of the power to the rear wheels, and the electronically controlled clutch can be locked in 50-50 below a certain speed. The Freedom 2 system uses the CVT to be capable of a 19-to-1 gear reduction, giving it a low range that would usually be found in vehicles with a dedicated transfer case. Both the four-wheel drive systems have that locking center differential to send half the power to the rear wheels, and also a brake locking differential to shift the power from side to side on each axle. Freedom 2 has hill descent control that automatically engages in low range on steep downhill grades, keeping the Jeep under 5 miles per hour when going down even the steepest and iciest of hills. With Freedom 2, you get 9 inches of ground clearance, a 29-degree approach angle, a 33-degree departure angle, a 23-degree breakover angle, and the ability to ford 19 inches of water. Now let's look to some of the trim levels and what features were included. We won't spend too much time here, but you can pause the video if you're interested. As for a few special additions and concepts, first in 2009, the Jeep Patriot was added to Chrysler's ENVI division, which was for electric vehicles. So the Jeep Patriot EV was an extended range electric vehicle capable of going 40 miles on battery power and 400 miles on a single tank of gas. Of course, Fiat would disband this division once becoming partners with Chrysler shortly after, and nobody ever saw the Jeep Patriot EV ever again. In 2011, a 70th anniversary edition was offered, based on the Sport model with either special olive or beige interior colors, unique alloy wheels, and other features. There would later be a 75th anniversary edition as well for 2016. 2012 got an Altitude Edition model, only available for a few months, with black alloy wheels, black painted exterior accents, black leather, and more. 2013 saw the Freedom Edition model, a special trim to celebrate the US Army and military, with a special Star Hood decal, dark alloy wheels, and commando green metallic paint, only offered on this version. Production was discontinued in December of 2016, and the remaining vehicles were sold off in 2017, or most of them. And that'll bring us to the next part of the video, looking at the reasoning for the cancellation and the flaws of the Patriot. I've come up with 6 different reasons and or flaws that refer to the car or Chrysler decisions. So let's have a look. The first 2 reasons kind of go hand in hand, so we'll talk both about them. But first, the Patriot was due for a major rehaul and revamp to stay competitive in the segment, and it seems like Jeep just didn't want to commit their financial resources to do that. This was never a particularly bad vehicle, and was usually popular, selling well its entire life, and even having its best 3 years of sales from 2014 to 2016, right before the cancellation. Most people agreed it had terrific value, with a base price starting around $15,000 to $18,000 depending on the year, and of course it could be fairly well equipped for a few thousand more. However, by 2017, the Patriot had aged. The interior had become very dated, simple and plain, only getting that small refresh back in 2011. The technology was older or non-existent, and even the engine choices never changed throughout the entire life of the vehicle. Talk about economies of scale. That leads us right into the second reason though, which was that Jeep chose to focus on the Compass instead. They felt that the Patriot was too similar, they didn't need it, and they didn't want to spend that money to properly modernize it, as it was time for a new one, as we went over. So the second generation of the Jeep Compass debuted in late 2016, replacing the Patriot and the first-gen Compass in one fell swoop. In hindsight, this was actually a very smart move, as the Compass sales have been very high in the past few years, and this decision pretty much forced anyone looking for a new Patriot to choose a new Compass instead. We can also look to the Jeep Renegade as having a role in the cancellation, and at one time it was believed that the Renegade would replace the Jeep Compass and the Patriot in the Jeep lineup. The Renegade came out for the 2015 model year as another subcompact crossover SUV. The Patriot had always been one of Jeep's most affordable models, and was actually the least expensive vehicle in the entire Jeep lineup until that Renegade was released. For roughly the same price, Jeep figured that people might start to choose the newer, sleeker, and more up-to-date Renegade. Now that those main reasons are out of the way, I'm going to get a little nitpicky here. I need to clarify that these final reasons are just flaws of the vehicle, but not specifically reasons for cancellation, and they certainly didn't kill the car on their own. But first up is the CVT transmission. Some liked it, while many others hated it, and many reviewers were quick to bash it. For average people that just wanted an economy vehicle, it was fine. But if you had access to both the 6-speed manual and the CVT, and you could drive both vehicles, then you could see how much better the acceleration was with the manual. Such is the nature of the CVT, which doesn't actually shift as we are used to traditional automatic transmissions doing. As we talked about, it would go 0 to 90 miles per hour without shifting or revving as the speedometer increased. People said it was unsettling as you wait in anticipation for nothing to happen. The CVT also kicks down with a thump at slower speeds when accelerating, and obviously these characteristics are new to most people and something that they would have to get used to. So maybe a CVT wasn't the best choice for transmissions here. Now if we look to some other flaws, I've found many complaints across various forums and review websites. Obviously reliability issues will extend across almost all Chrysler products, especially during their bankruptcy era when they were trying to cut costs even more, resulting in some serious quality control issues. But there were problems with the headliner shaking and vibrating against the steel roof. Using the spare tire would cause the engine to operate strange and give you warning lights, and many suspension parts were failing prematurely at just 30 to 40,000 miles. As for federal crash tests,